Oh god, please don't have a hot take. Please don't have a hot take. I can't have another Guardians 3. Oh, it's a mild take. That's, still a hot take on the internet. Ah!
This place is about second chances to convince heaven the people of hell can be redeemed.
Hell's not so bad with Broadway-style singers and Broadway-style songs in Hazbin Hotel. Okay, so to calm everybody down just at the start, this is a very, very good show. It honestly delivers on everything the commercials are advertising, a lot of things that this team has delivered before. This is an animation company that's just exploded online and created these web series that are just getting millions and millions of hits and have beautiful animation. They're unlike anything you've really seen. And then A24 came around and picked up, said they were going to turn it into a series, which as far as I know, I don't think they've ever really done an animated series before. So there was a lot of speculation. Will this work? Will this still have the same charm and imagination and originality as the other material that these people have made? I'm really blown away with how the animation on this, for anything else you see on TV or Prime or a lot of streaming, looks, and how amazing the designs are and how flowing the animation is. But on top of that, it also has very good characters and very good songs, really wonderful actors and singers and songwriters coming together to really give it their all. I mean, nothing in this feels phoned in. I'm also very, very happy that the animation company Bento Box, they actually get an opening credit. It's a very simple but also very complicated idea, which I like. I really love that if you were to ask somebody, well, what's the show about? They could tell you in one sentence. It's about a rehabilitation hotel in the middle of hell, which is already a very funny idea. But if you want to dive further, you can. There's this battle going on in between heaven and hell, and the person that's running this hotel is discovering all these little conspiracies, and heaven has this big purge of a bunch of different people in hell, and we kind of find out the people in hell are both just as bad as you thought, but also not as bad as you thought, or at the very least, heaven could be worse. I mean, it's all these things that you can explore in a show, and they do. You don't just stay in hell the whole time. You do go to heaven, and heaven is a place where you constantly question who's doing more harm, who's doing more evil, and I love that idea. I mean, I know this isn't like the first story to tackle that idea or address that kind of idea, but I mean, the way they do it is so humorous and so fun. They have Adam as kind of this dude bro jock, and he's literally the original man, and he brags about how he's the original man. I mean, these are all very funny ideas, but on top of that, they can dive into a fair amount of drama as well. There's a lot of songs in this that are very humorous, but they will also have songs that really dive into what the characters are going through, use the song to explore their emotions, and the songs are very good and they're sung very well.
Welcome to the Hazbin Hotel. Your last desperate attempt at salvation starts here.
And will hopefully not be too weird to scare audiences away. Okay, we're good. The characters all look fantastic and have distinct personalities. My guess is if you see a commercial or a trailer for this show and you say, oh, that looks interesting, you're gonna love it. You're gonna absolutely fall in love with the show and the songs and the characters and how unconventional it is, but it still sticks to a lot of traditional tropes that a story like this should stick to. This is trying to tell kind of a bigger epic story than some of the stuff they've done in the past, so I think to do that you do have to stick more to some of these traditional tropes, like the optimistic do-gooder, the person she's in love with who doesn't always know about everything, kind of the wild card, the person on top that is acting like they're supposed to be on your side, but they're really not. It's gonna result in this big battle where these big explosions and epic fights happen. And what I really like is if you have seen the pilot for this show, the pilot premiered years ago on YouTube. If you have not seen that pilot, you don't have to. However, if you have seen the pilot, this is just a continuation of that. It doesn't start over from scratch. It is very clever at catching you up on everything, at acting like this is the first episode. You don't need to see the one before. You don't need to go on YouTube and watch the previous one. That is so clever. That is just so smart.
You're gonna help sinners? Hilarious!
Can't act like I haven't seen some churches like that. This is a very, very smart show. So now I gotta be the asshole and I gotta bring up the stuff that kind of bothered me a little bit, just a little bit. One of them I will say is probably not gonna bother that many people, and the other I really wanna see if people are on the same plane as me. I feel like they're not taking 100% advantage of this idea. Just the original idea of there being a rehabilitation hotel for hell. Now, when I hear that, my first thought is, oh, every room you go in is gonna have something different. There's gonna be some sort of visually interesting, weird, psychological way they're gonna try and help these people. They're gonna try and rehabilitate these people. I mean, the worst people in the world. Hell, like, how do you help these people? But you have the powers of hell, so you can get really creative and crazy. And they don't really explore that too much. A lot of the hotel is experienced just in the lounge area, and I feel like you got this gigantic building where literally anything is possible, and they don't really go into the rooms, and they don't really do that much in terms of finding new ways to rehabilitate these characters. And I want to see that. I think these characters are really fun and are very imaginative and have a lot of layers to them, both comedically and dramatically, that I want to see some visually interesting ways that they're gonna try and rehabilitate them. The focus is more on the conflict between heaven and hell, and even that sometimes has pacing that's a touch off. Every episode has 2 songs, and they are very, very good songs, but I think it should just be 1 song per episode because the songs are so good and they so want to dive into what these characters are going through that if you're gonna squeeze in 2.5 hour time span, I think even less than a half hour for some of these, I don't think that's a bright idea. There's one episode where the main character is going to see her father, and it's a good reveal what they do with her father. I was not expecting it at all, like the personality of this character. I mean, this is the ruler of hell. You have an idea what this character is going to be like, and they don't go that route at all, and it makes him very, very interesting. It makes their connection very, very interesting, and I was thinking to myself, man, there should be like a lot that can be looked into over a couple episodes, but it's all kind of handled in just one. And they have the big, nice, sweet song at the end of it, and all I'm thinking to myself is, well, this is a nice song, but if they gave them like 2 or 3 more episodes to really explore this and draw this out, I'd probably be borderline crying hearing this song. But because it's all kind of squished into one episode and they have to juggle it with another song in that episode, it makes it a little trickier to have that emotional impact. For me anyway. It still works, but not as strongly as I feel like it could have.
I really hope that I'm ready for this.
Oh, Amazon says you're ready for this. Now I want to talk about the thing that did affect my enjoyment of it overall, but it could just be me. This is kind of where I want to see what other people think about this. You see, before I saw this show, I saw another show they did online called Hell of a Boss. And they've been doing this show for years and years, and I'm really not kidding when I say it's one of the best looking animated anything I've seen in my life, and it is so good that it does kind of tamper my enjoyment of this show. And a part of me says that's not fair, because the people who make Hell of a Boss are probably allowed to spend even more time on it, where this is a professional production and it's A24. I mean, they have a time scale here and they have to figure out how to do all this. They're doing things that you've seen in a lot of other shows and you expect in a lot of other shows. Like, there's a lot of medium shots of people just standing in the lounge. When you compare it to Hell of a Boss, where they're constantly playing around with angles, high angles, low angles, close-ups, far-off shots, and the line work also has a lot of variation. Sometimes the lines are very thick, sometimes they're very thin, sometimes they're both. I mean, this stuff just leaps out at you, where by comparison, if you look at Hazbin Hotel, still looks amazing, but doesn't have that same variety to it. I think because it also doesn't belong to a major studio, it's more experimental and kind of gives less of a shit about what it's gonna say or who it's gonna offend or what turn it's gonna take or what twist it's gonna take. So it really plays around with what the characters can go through and how they can go through it. There's much more of an edge in this show, where when I look at Hazbin Hotel, by comparison, it looks a little bit more streamlined. But Again, this company being streamlined is still spectacular. It still looks better than anything else I see on TV. But because not only is it the same people developing it, but it also takes place in the same world. I mean, they both literally take place in hell and they look almost exactly the same. How can you not draw comparisons to it? But under a traditional animation schedule, this is what you have to do. And under those conditions, it still looks amazing.
Daddy, do you really expect me to memorize this whole script?
With AI right now, just be lucky somebody wrote the script. This is still a very, very good show. I highly recommend it. But if you have watched Hell of a Boss, the show that they made for several years before watching this show, keep in mind it is different. It is a little bit more streamlined. And it is telling a slightly different story. Every once in a while, it dabbles into the territory of Hell of a Boss. Like, there's a very great episode where this one character, we go into his backstory, and it's a very sad backstory, but then there's kind of a feel better, don't feel better song at the end that a friend of his sings, where it's both acknowledging you're not a loser, but you are a loser at the same time. And that's the kind of stuff I love in something like Hell of a Boss, and I was kind of looking more for here. But it's also not that show. This is something a little different, but it's not very different, so it's not something I can just completely forget about that other show and completely transition into this one. But with that said, if you've never seen any of the other stuff from this group or Hell of a Boss, I think you're gonna love the shit out of this show. I think this is something where you're gonna be sucked in, you're gonna enjoy the songs, you're gonna enjoy the characters, you're not going to be distracted by anything, you're gonna absolutely be absorbed by this world. If you have seen Hell of a Boss though, some things are gonna be different, and I don't know how you're gonna react to it. Maybe it'll have no impact on you whatsoever. You'll just love seeing this group get this opportunity to be on a major streaming service, to be on Prime. Bigger studios are seeing what smaller studios are doing online with animation and finally giving them a chance without really corrupting it. I mean, this is something that feels more streamlined, but it is not corrupted. This still feels like it's the same spirit, it's the same team working on this. It just had to be altered a little bit. My thought is, if you have never seen Hell of a Boss or anything else that this company has done, this is easily a 4 out of 4 series. If you have seen them before, you might be closer to maybe a 3 out of 4 series, so I think the fairest thing to do is give it 3.5 out of 4, totally not Minions. This is a wonderful show. I think it has more room to grow, and I'm looking forward to seeing that growth is closer to what I've seen from them in the past. With that said, I really would love to know your opinion on this, especially if you've seen their past material or you haven't seen their past material. Do you think that this really lives up to the stuff they've done in the past and there's no difference whatsoever, that this is exactly everything you've expected from them and you want to see even more from them? Or do you think that maybe things were kind of changed a little bit in between doing stuff on YouTube and then doing something for a major studio? But do you feel like that really hurt the production majorly, or it didn't really have that big an impact but is kind of noticeable? I would really love to know your thoughts on this, whether you're a fan of this animation company, an old fan or a new fan. I'd love to know your thoughts on this, and if I'm the only one that has this thought, or if I'm really just out in the dark, nobody else has the same mindset on this. Let me know your thoughts, and I'll see you next time. Take care.